Good morning, Columbus, Ohio. It's Championship Saturday, everybody. I am the host of this Saturday morning shindig this morning while Chris works the Ohio State store and lots more, since it is one of those Christmas shopping Saturdays. He's got to work, and so I'm filling in for him. He's filling in for me on Monday nights for the time being, I guess, until we get things squared away, everybody. Oh no, you poor thing. Vader says, I got Eric on my new big screen. You didn't know I was this ugly, did you, buddy? Oh man, let's kick some you know what, says Ohio Buckeye Mark. You know what that is. That's some Hoosier booty. Gonna stomp out some SIGs tonight in Indianapolis, Indiana, right? We're gonna talk about that tonight, or this morning, I should say. We're gonna talk about that game, obviously. We're gonna talk about the games from last night. We had a good time hanging out on Patreon. Sean, TG, Chris, myself, watching a little G5 Conference Championship games. My gosh, that Conference USA game between Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State was crazy. That was a crazy football game. My gosh, what an awesome game that was. Good to see TG with us this morning. Farrah, good to see you with us as well. The Glass City Buck, what up, my man? Jeffrey McDowell's in the house. Coconuts with us. Good to see you all this morning. Vader, of course. Vengeance Rising, my man. Good to have you with us this morning as well. It was good to see you last week. It was good to see you last week in Bucyrus, Ohio at our Game Watch. We had a great time last week. One of the reasons why Chris has to work today was he was with us last week in Bucyrus. Mr. Lance, it is great to be a Buckeye this morning. It's always good to be a Buckeye. It's even better to be a Buckeye when you have a chance to win some hardware. You know who doesn't have a chance to win hardware today? That'd be the team up north. I'm still basking in the glory of taking down the scum, the loserines, the team of cheaters up there in the whore known as Ann Arbor. My gosh, what a week of craziness up there in Ann Arbor. The cheating scandal 2.0 broke this week. You had that. You had Dave Portnoy talking about the fact that he's not going to pay any more money out to Bryce Underwood, and if he asks for more money, he can go pound sand. I broke that down. $1,560 some odd dollars. I think $67.40 per yard is what Dave Portnoy and the NIL collectives paid him this season. Could you imagine getting paid $1,567 per yard gained? Holy smokes. Wow. And then the news broke yesterday. I have a video getting ready to post this afternoon on Ernest Hausman, the linebacker from the team up north, has been dismissed from the team, citing mental issues for him. And then he writes a scathing article or post, I guess you could say, on one of his social media accounts stating that he went to a staff member, sharing with them a personal religious experience that he had. Said staff member turned him in for having mental issues and was dismissed from the team. This is a crazy, crazy story. I break that down in a video that'll be posted this afternoon. All of that has been happening in Ann Arbor this week. Just a lot of stuff going on up there. And of course, the memes from Buckeye Nation just continue, right? Big game today in Indianapolis. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but here's the breakdown for today. We're going to talk a little bit about the championship games from last night in college football. We're then going to talk a little bit about the CFP and what implications there are for that today that you need to be aware of. We're going to break down the Ohio State versus Indiana Big Ten championship game. And of course, we'll then turn around, we'll get on our phone, we'll go to MyBookie. That's right, MyBookie. Use promo code OHIO on MyBookie. And we're going to place bets this week for today's games on MyBookie. Speaking of MyBookie, everybody, they have another great thing going on right now. We'll talk about it in just a minute. But hey, shout out to Knight 1111 who just became a $5 member over on Patreon. Knight 1111, welcome to the Patreon family. It is good to have you with us, Knight. I hope you get to hear this. We will welcome you over on Patreon after we get done here. And if you're not a member of a Patreon, go check it out. The link's below us. We just do all kinds of fun stuff over there. We literally were over there hanging out watching college football last night on Patreon. It's just a cool place to be. And of course, on a day like today, Patreon is where it's at because Buck Vader, our insider, is going to be over there dropping knowledge on your guys' lap all day long. He's one of the best insiders in the business. If you don't believe me, just ask him or ask the other people who try to poach him from us, who want them a part of their sites because he's got that good of a reputation. By the way, he's the one who said to everybody that, and I will die on this hill because some people are going to disagree with me. He told us Wednesday, Chris Henry's going to be in this class. Don't worry. Chris Henry's going to be in this class. He told us Wednesday. Oh, then Chris Henry took 2 days to think about it. And then what did Chris Henry do? He joined the class. There are some saying the coaching staff didn't know if he was going to join or not until an hour before, and that might be true. But our insider, man, maybe he just is that inside. Maybe he is. All right. I love Buck Vader. I'm wearing my We Want Angry Ryan Day t-shirt today. Feels like a good day to have Angry Ryan Day, doesn't it? Sure does to me anyways. Last night was there was 4 G5 championships. Let's break it down. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the one that doesn't have any postseason implications. Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State, those two schools are now a part of the Conference USA Championship Conference, whatever, Conference USA. Both schools were FCS schools years ago. Kennesaw State became an FBS school last year when they joined Conference USA. They had a terrible season in 2024. Coach was fired mid-season. They lost over half the roster, the transfer portal. In comes Jerry Mack, the new Mac Daddy. And I love this quote. Why does it take us? It won't take us long to be great. Why do you wait to be great? There's no reason to wait to be great. Let's go be great now. Great quote. And those guys go out there. They go 9-3 in the regular season. Earn a chance to go to Jacksonville State, take on the Gamecocks in their home stadium for a conference championship, a place where they suffered their only conference loss. Took a double overtime victory over the Flames, Liberty, to get there. And then when they get there, what do? They avenged their loss from earlier in the season. They beat Jacksonville State by a score of 19-15 in an absolute crazy game that we all watched together over on Patreon last night to win a Conference USA championship. Shout out Coach Mack, the next big name in college football. You heard it here first, right here on the OHIO podcast. He is the dude. He is the man. He's going to be a head coach in the SEC or in the ACC, somewhere in the South. That's his bread and butter. That's where he's from. That's where he's coached. Coached the running backs for the Tennessee Titans and Jacksonville Jaguars. Was an offensive coordinator at Rice. Coached for North Carolina State, I think, in the FCS, where he had a winning record for 4 years. The dude knows how to ball, and that team played just absolutely with their hair on fire last night. So shout out to Kennesaw State for winning the Conference USA Championship. By the way, Kennesaw State, just north of Atlanta, Georgia, beautiful little stadium they have. Go check out pictures of that place. I'm going to go watch a game there sometime. Number 2 on the list, let's talk about Boise State UNLV out in the Mountain West. Boise State 38, UNLV 21. Boise State was in the Mountain West for 15 years. They leave the Mountain West and will be heading to the Pac-12 next season. In those 15 years in the Mountain West, they played in 9 conference championships. They won 6 of them. In 125 conference games, they won 103 and only lost 22. Well, that's a winning percentage, I think, of 84% in the conference. They were the best team in the Mountain West in the 15 years that they were there, and now they go to the Pac-12. I think Boise State will be the best team in the Pac-12 in 2026 and has a chance to get back to the CFP in 2026. Your thoughts on that, guys? Mika says, you said I should get a hold of Lenny. Yeah, he's on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, check out Billy Bob's Backyard Barbecue. Speaking of that, I'm the guest on Lenny's backyard today. Obviously talking about Buckeyes. He's a big Buckeye fan. He's from Northeast Ohio. He lives down in Florida. Lenny's Backyard Barbecue. It's a great place to hang out. He does shows on a bunch of things, man. He does shows on history, music, college football, politics. Like, Lenny's the dude, man. And yeah, I think he would be a great guest to go on his show, Mika. Anywho, I'll be the guest today at 11:30. So if you guys want to check that out, 11:30 today. Lenny's Backyard Barbecue. Go check it out. Billy Bob's Backyard Barbecue is what it's called. Okay, moving on. James Madison 31, Troy 14. James Madison with a big win today, last night, and this keeps their postseason CFP hopes alive. We'll explain that in just a minute. They had to win this game if they were going to be eligible to play in the CFP. So James Madison wins the Sun Belt Championship over Troy. They're ranked in the top 25 at number 25. They will not be the G5 representative because that will be Tulane. Tulane beat North Texas last night 34-21 in the American Championship game. And Tulane has punched their ticket to the CFP. So we do know some teams who are in the CFP already. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas A&M, and now Tulane are 5 guaranteed teams in the college football playoff. The other 7 will be determined today in some schools like Notre Dame, Miami, Oklahoma do not hold the future in their own hands. Georgia and Alabama they do. I think Georgia's considered a lock to get in regardless of what happens today. However, I did not mention them. Oregon also has their ticket punched, so give that 6. Here is why James Madison is still alive. If Duke beats Virginia in the ACC championship game tonight, then, already being reported on ESPN this morning, by the way, the ACC will not have a representative in the college football playoff, but rather JMU, James Madison, would probably be the 5th conference champion selected. Here's why that matters. The CFP committee has to choose the top 5 conference champions to be represented in the CFP. If Duke wins the ACC, they are not considered better than James Madison out of the Sun Belt and Tulane out of the American. In the ACC, the only chance they have of getting a representative at that point would be Miami as an at-large, which would not happen, in my opinion. The ACC is in danger of being left out of the college football playoff if Duke wins tonight. If Virginia wins, forget about it. Virginia's in, and James Madison gets kicked out. JMU will be out. So JMU are big Duke fans today, and for those of you who just want to see a ton of chaos, you should be rooting for Duke, as well as probably BYU as well. So that is the rundown of the games that happened last night. Let's talk about this game today in Indianapolis, Indiana. My goodness. Indiana and Ohio State are getting zero love on ESPN. I don't want to hear Kirk Herbstreit say one more time that ESPN is not biased when it comes to the SEC versus the Big Ten. I just watched SportsCenter, and I don't like SportsCenter. I don't like the two goons that they have on SportsCenter. Those guys couldn't punch their way out of a wet paper bag. Those guys are about as metrosexual as it gets. My gosh, dude. We're talking about sports, and those guys care more about their makeup in between commercial breaks than they do the actual sports they're supposed to be reporting on. Let's be serious. But during the programming this morning, I watched the whole thing. They went to Georgia, to Atlanta, to do live reporting on the Alabama versus Georgia game 2 times. Both times they went live, the snotty guys at ESPN would ask one question. After all these questions about Georgia and Alabama and the big game in the SEC, they would ask one question about the Big Ten championship game, and they would do it in a way that says, oh, we have to ask one question about the Big Ten champ. I know all the fans there in Atlanta are just going to boo this question, but I guess we're contractually obligated to ask one question about the Big Ten. And what was so freaking hilarious is they're inside wherever they were at. I'm guessing it's probably like like a conference center there beside the silver or beside the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Kirk Herbstreit's like, oh, we're going to talk about Ohio State, Indiana, boo, and then all of a sudden you hear out, OH! Oh, yo, there were Buckeye fans there, baby, wearing their Buckeye stuff, man. Listen, ESPN is a clown show. If you believe for 1 second that there's not bias in this thing, my gosh, if the CFP committee is watching ESPN, they are getting just absolutely inundated with SEC content nonstop. It's 90 to 10%. I kid you not. 90 to 10%. Now, I understand that ESPN is owned by ABC. ABC is in bed with the SEC, and no doubt they're trying to promote their product to make more money. But please, for the love of God, stop saying that you're biased. You are completely 100% biased, ESPN. It is an absolute, utter joke, my dude. Golly. And it is Ohio State, Indiana should be the only thing that's really being talked about. It is 1 versus 2. If you had a number 1 and a number 2 in front of Georgia, you would have thought this morning on ESPN, Georgia and Alabama were 1 versus 2. The way they were talking about that game. Not Ohio State, Indiana. The fact that Indiana is at a place that they're at tonight, whether you like them or not, whether you like their fans or not, and believe you me, we don't like their fans. They're getting incredibly obnoxious. The fact Indiana is there in year number 2 of Curt Cignetti, and he's been able to turn around the most losingest program in college football history, and he's on the precipice of winning a Big Ten championship, and he has to take down the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes to do it. That story alone should be plastered everywhere, but they're ignoring it like crazy because they don't want to give it any attention. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten championship game. This should be the biggest sports story in all of sports right now, and it is completely being ignored. That is just ridiculous. ESPN, you should take away the S from you guys. You're not a sports programming network. You're not. You are an SEC programming network. You are the SEC network. That is who you are at this point. Unbelievable. Let me get a little water here. Interesting comment. Just glanced over at the chat. After game tonight, number 1 and number 2 may still be number 1, number 2. They might be. If Alabama beats Georgia, they still might be number 1, number 2, no matter what the outcome is. If Georgia beats Alabama tonight, the CFP is going to put them at 2. The CFP is going to put them at 2. If Texas Tech stomps BYU, there's a chance they leapfrog to 2 or 3. And the loser of that game falls back to 3. Falls back to 3 possibly. So a lot still to be determined on that. By the way, tomorrow over on Patreon, we will be live streaming, watching, and reacting to the CFP announcement in real time over on Patreon. So make sure you're subscribed over on Patreon and you hang out with us as we watch it together tomorrow and react in real time as Buckeye fans to the CFP announcement. I think tomorrow it's noon, I believe, is when it kicks on. About that business is in the house. What up, brother? Good to see you, man. All right, let's talk about this game. 27 minutes into this show, and I'm just now getting to the game. Ohio State, Indiana. I feel very strongly that if Ohio State plays their game like they've been playing all year, that they will pull away and win this thing by a couple scores in the second half. However, I do not believe that Ohio State fans are giving Indiana enough love and respect. And I understand that a lot of you feel that Indiana hasn't played anybody, or in the games where they've played a team with a good defensive pulse, they haven't played as well. I think that kind of goes without saying that is the case because, better competition obviously means that things aren't going to go as simply or as easily for you, especially offensively, when you're playing a pretty competent defense like in Iowa, like they did against Penn State, like against Oregon. But let's not ignore the fact that Indiana went into Eugene, Oregon, and did to the Ducks what last year's national championship winning Ohio State Buckeyes were unable to do. They went into Oregon and they beat the Ducks in Autzen. We did not. Granted, different Oregon team. And no, I do not believe this team this year that played in Eugene, Oregon is as good as the one that they had last year. I do not believe that. However, that might be one of the most impressive wins in the Big Ten that there was all season long. And no, I'm not ignoring the fact that Indiana had to come from behind to beat Penn State with a miraculous touchdown pass and catch. A Penn State team who at the time was 3-5, if I'm not mistaken, and on a 5-game losing streak. I get it. I hear you. But they did it in Beaver Stadium, which is an incredibly tough place to play, regardless of whether that's a noon kick or a whiteout in prime time. It is still one of the most intimidating, toughest places to win on the road in the Big Ten, and the Hoosiers did that as well. When we all looked at Indiana at the beginning of the season, we all thought they would be a little bit of a dip. Chris, myself, we both thought that is a bowl team. That is a coach who's going to have a winning record. Worst case scenario, Indiana 6-6. None of us thought Indiana would be 12-0, playing for a Big Ten championship game, and would be the second best team in the Big Ten. Nobody thought that. And if you are telling me you did, you're probably an Indiana homer, okay? No one thought that about Indiana. They have defied logic. They have defied history. This is, in a lot of ways, they feel a team of destiny. And when you have that kind of mentality, you have that kind of belief in yourself, the last thing Ohio State needs to do is let that team jump out on you. Because if they jump out on you, that momentum, that belief, that confidence they have in themselves, it gets elevated. Ohio State needs to come out and they need to punch them in the mouth from the word go. They need to out-physical them. They need to outclass them. We have more horses, right? We have more depth. I am not questioning Indiana and Curt Cignetti and his staff's ability to develop and elevate players. There's no other explanation here for the Hoosiers. That is exactly what they have done. They have taken 2 3-star kids and they have developed them and they have elevated them. And let's not sleep on Mendoza. The kid might be the best quarterback we have faced all year. I think that's pretty evident he is. So to think we're just going to go into this game and this is going to be a walk in the park, I think is a little disingenuous here. I remind you, I've been to 3 Big Ten championship games in person. 2 of them against Wisconsin, 1 against Northwestern. I was not in at the 2014 one when we slapped Wisconsin around by 50-some points. Was it 56-0? I was not at that one. I was talking about the next 2 and then the other Northwestern game. And even the Northwestern game in 2020 during COVID, right? Those games were not blowouts here, people. And I'm here to tell you this Indiana team is better than both those Northwestern teams, all those Wisconsin teams we played. This is a better team. They might not have a better player, but they've got a better team. They are not going to beat themselves. They are going to be uber aggressive. They're going to let it all hang out, and Ohio State has to make sure that they stay within themselves. 59-0. Thank you, Tyler. My Buckeye walking encyclopedia. I was 3 points short. My bad. How dare I? How dare I miss another field goal in that game? It's going to be a closer game than I think people think. I've got it 31-27. Out of all the hosts on the OHIO podcast, there's 8 of us who predict the score each and every single week. I was the closest. And it's not because I think I'm not as confident in Ohio State as the rest of my co-hosts are. I think I'm just a little bit more impressed by what Indiana has been able to do. Now, I would like to be completely wrong and come out of this thing and going, my gosh, was Indiana overrated? We just kicked their butts. I would love to say that at the end of tonight. Because if you're going to eat crow, there's nothing sweeter than eating crow after a huge win that you're happy about, right? Am I right? So this is going to be an interesting game to me. Now, the one thing that I have mentioned, I think I mentioned it last night with TG and Sean and Chris, and I'll mention again here, is that Ohio State defensively has done a really good job at caging quarterbacks who are dual threat or who enjoy using their legs to beat you. No quarterback who takes off and runs this year has been able to necessarily do that successfully against this defense. But here's the difference between Mendoza and those guys. If we decide on the defensive line, we're just going to cage Mendoza and we're not going to get pressure on him, we're just going to keep him in the pocket and force him to throw the football. He's good enough arm talent. He has good enough arm talent. I think he can pick us apart a little bit. We need to be cognizant of that. We need to make sure we're getting good pressure on him. I don't want to see us just cage. I want to see us get good pressure on Mendoza and make sure that he is uncomfortable in the pocket. Eric, I don't think they're going to be able to establish the line of scrimmage. That's a massive advantage we have over them. Agreed, but I need to see us establish the line of scrimmage too. Right? We did it against the team up north last week. And then we did it the several weeks before that against cupcakes. Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers. This is a pretty good defensive line. If we're able to establish the line of scrimmage against them, again, I told Clemson yesterday when I was on the Clemson podcast, Clemson Football Live, I said, there's a lot of talent on the outsides. There's a lot of quarterback talent here. I go, my eyeballs are going to be on the line of scrimmage. If we can win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, we win this game. If we struggle on the line of scrimmage, Indiana is going to be in this game, and it's going to be a dogfight. So that's what I'm going to be watching early on. Mr. Bucknuts, 2. Bring a linebacker to spy him on 3rd and shorts. I don't know if that stops them. They run that RPO, baby, and they're good at it. They're the best RPO team we've played. TG says she has an analysis she would like to share with me from the research she's done. Sure, feel free to put it in the comments. I have pessimistic optimism. I'm just telling you guys that I think Indiana is going to give us a better fight than a lot of you think. It's not pessimism as much as it's just my view on Indiana, I think. Sometimes, guys, whether stats show it or not, things just have a way of kind of working out for some teams. I am a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that teams can be teams of destiny because of 2002. Teams can be teams of destiny. 2002, as an Ohio State fan, happened. And I've not forgotten it. And that was year number 2 under Jim Tressel. This is year number 2 under Curt Cignetti. This is a team that at the beginning of the year no one thought had a chance. 2002 was a team at the beginning of the year no one thought Ohio State had a chance. I'm telling you, Indiana is a little bit better than what we all think. So TG wants to share it in person. All right, give me a second, TG. I will send you the link and I will bring you on if you want to get ready for a quick analysis before we end the show. I want to try to be done no later than 11 to 11:10 because I have another show I need to get onto and I need to make sure I give my voice a moment. Oh, wait a minute. I hear something. Are you already on, TG? You are. I was I was gonna send you the link, but you're already joining me. You beat me to the punch. Uh, give me 1 second. I'll pull you up. Okay. All right, everybody. This is a little impromptu. TG helping me break this game down for you. All right, there's TG. Say hi, TG. You're on.
Yeah, what up, everybody? I just figured I'd give you a little bit more quick analysis from what more research I've done about the Indiana Hoosiers' strengths and weaknesses on defense versus our offense, and from what as well as their offense versus our defense. And from what I have figured out from first of all their defense, like their strength is actually something that is Ohio State's strength on offense that can actually be used against them, and it's their ability to blitz. They do a lot of blitzing because from one of their weaknesses this past for this year has been their defensive line has struggled to get consistent pass rush. From the games I've watched, they have been unable to consistently pass rush on the D line. So there are times they have to bring in linebackers and consistent blitzing. Now I will say do you know how do you kind of put it, like delay blitz at times. That's what they do at times. But it actually plays into their weakness. It really does. Because it makes them vulnerable for big plays. From the games I've watched, and you're gonna have to, and Eric, you really have to think about it. What is Indiana's biggest weakness on defense?
From what I've been able to see at times, they are susceptible to the big pass and the big play.
Yes, it's big passes. Big time. It's explosive plays. They are vulnerable to that. Their secondary has been getting beat a lot, actually, out in the secondary. A lot. And they especially struggle against elite wide receivers. Especially they struggle against elite receiving talent, really, in general, whether that's tight ends, receivers, or running backs. Because there are times you see catch and runs from the running backs where they go out and get big time yardage as well. Like I said, they already have inconsistent pass rush, especially on the interior line play. Because do you know what's super funny? The interior of their D line is very small. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I know that they're not as bulky. They're more athletic. They're kind of smaller, quicker guys. But
Yeah, they're
yeah,
small. That's
but they're also pretty quick though.
They are quick. And we have seen that India, but I will say when they've gone up against offensive lines that are pretty much like Ohio State, like what I've seen of Iowa at times, what I've seen at Penn State, and what I've seen against some other teams here and there, is that they can't consistently get pass rush because of that. They can't because they get pushed around a lot. And it's not just that, but obviously the depth, as you already talked about. The depth concerns are the biggest, but they also have run defense lapses. Like the only time they're good in against the run is when they're blitzing. They really do big run plays. They really do. And that's what's so shocking. So unless they're blitzing, they can't stop the run. They can't. Otherwise, like for instance, their zone coverage. Remember how we talked about it? That against zone coverage in the passing game, they give up big plays. It's the same with the run. They give up a bunch of big plays. On top of the fact that as with blitzing, they give up. Julian Sand is the best against the blitz. If you blitz him while he's passing, it's not going to work. We all know 91% completion percentage against the blitz, 94 against coverage, zone coverage. And do you know, and we already know his pass coverage against man to man, apparently I found this out, was 92%. Like I said, it was in the high 80s back on Patreon. It's actually in the 90s as well. So like Sam could be consistent depending on how you're playing. You would have to really, and I mean, from what I've seen, it would really take injuries to our two best players for him to not have a great game.
One of the things that Julian Sain does incredibly well against the blitz, TG, and watch this. This is why he got the moniker "check down king" from Michigan fans. When he's being blitzed, there inside Ryan Day's offense, there's always two safety valves, never just one. There's always two. And so usually in a route, there'll be two or three big, long, take a few seconds to develop the route. And then there are checkdowns, plural. Sometimes it's the tight end and running back. Sometimes it's two tight ends. Sometimes it's a drag route by the slot receiver and the running back on the opposite side. Julian Sain is incredibly good at knowing where his safety valve is and when the blitz comes, getting the ball out of his hands quick. That's one of the reasons why his completion percentage is so high. So when they say, oh, check down king, no, he's just beating the blitz is what he's doing.
And he knows where it is too, because if you watch him this entire season, he knows where the blitz is coming from. He's analyzing the defense. Like against Michigan, we've seen them try to throw a bunch of blitzes at Julian, and they never got there. Why? Because Julian pointed it out before they even had the chance to do it. That's the biggest thing for Indiana.
And shout out Carson Hinsman, the center. Those two working in tandem this year have been fantastic.
That's why for Indiana, their defense is really good. I give Indiana all the credit in the world. They should be this game should be getting talked about more. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This game should. But the thing is for Indiana, while you're a good team, you're not elite yet. You have holes that Ohio State can take advantage of. On offense, we talked about it. They are the best RPO team, but what is Ohio State's defense designed to do? Stop the RPO.
Stop everything. Stop everything.
Stop everything. It's like when you think about it for Ohio State, like while Fernando Mendoza, he does have better arm talent than most of the dual threats we've dealt with. But there's one problem. His offensive line. They actually don't get push up front. As a matter of fact, it's while their run game looks dominant, but if you really analyze their run game, when they go up against teams like ours who have a line of scrimmage at D-line, like what we have with Cade McDonald, what we have with our entire defensive line, they can't run the ball very well, as we already know. But their right side in pass protection is extremely weak. And anytime Mendoza against teams like Penn State, Iowa, even Oregon at times, because it explained how Oregon was able to come back, they were able to take advantage of that right side of that offensive line. For Ohio State, it's real simple. You know how to get pressure on this guy. What you need to do, you don't have to cage rush, essentially. Now, you do need to contain him from being out on the left side, I would say. Contain him on the left, but have guys coming at him from the right. And if you play it smart, you actually will be able to get pressure on Mendoza. And the other thing you have to do, obviously, against Indiana, as we talked about on Patreon, is you have to get them on third down and long situations. Like, they're going to try to run the ball at times on first and second down. Now, this game, I should expect them maybe to pass to try to get Ohio State off guard. But I will say, if you can get them in third and long situations, 3rd and 6 or longer, their offense can't really do much. If you stop the run game, you have to make them pass more. And guess what? They're not really good at that consistently. They need the run game to be consistent. And the other thing is, the thing about their run game, what Ohio State, I wouldn't say struggle, but has the tendency to give up sometimes is gap schemes. You know, gap run schemes, how we've seen it. Now, Ohio State does, but they give it up a couple of times. Just a couple, not much. But the thing is, with Indiana, their gap run schemes aren't good. They mostly do zone run. And from what I can see, Ohio State, as we all know, is really good against zone runs. Gap schemes, again, they struggle a little bit against, not struggle, but they give up some plays every now and again. But I will say, if Ohio State's defense just stops the run, and more importantly, watch out for those end-around plays, because I did see some Indiana fan kind of point that out, and I've actually noticed in the film I watched too, is that they will run an end-around scheme with one of their players. I forget his name, but I know who I'm talking about here, who knows how to like get yards after doing these end-arounds and even on screenplays. So you have to really focus in on that, which Ohio State can do as well. with Indiana. And this is the other thing too. I think a formation Ohio State could use to take away like some of these things. There have been some talks from some other Ohio State fans that I've talked to who do like watch, who like me kind of study this team. It's like one thing you could do is put CJ Hicks out there and Arvell on the same side as we talked about. Why?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what CJ's use is. Ryan Day was not even going to bring it up, and then the question was asked about his eligibility, and then Ryan Day said yes, he's eligible to play in these games without hurting the fact that he wanted an additional year. So it'll be interesting to see if that's even a thing or if that was just a talking point that was made up. I do know this: if he's brought in with a blitz and he's on the same side as Arvo Reese, that side of the offensive line better be prayed up.
That's what I say.
They will be facing two of the most athletic beasts when it comes to getting to a quarterback. But be careful, because if Indiana sees that and they check out of that to, like, say, a screen pass, that aggression could be used against Ohio State. So, TG, thanks for jumping on here, girl. One more thing before you go. I got to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Anything else before you leave?
Here's the thing. I will say this. Just put CJ Hicks on the defensive end where he is. And if you put Arvell on that same side, you probably could get them to understand. Like, they're going to think CJ, they're not going to think much of it. The one thing Ohio State is really good at, Eric, as we talked about, disguising their defense.
Yeah.
As long as Ohio State's disguising it, Indiana won't be able to pick it up.
This is where TG and I we take off our masks. I'm really TG, she's really Eric, and we say, "Ha, got you. We disguised you." That's how good Patricia's defense is. I mean, it is Mission Impossible stuff, man. Thank you, TG. Thanks for hopping on real fast, girl. Have a good rest of your day. Take care. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
That is the Wolverine Slayer herself. You love her. We love her. We appreciate her. Julian says, Julian Carlsbad says, Carson Hinsman not getting all Big Ten was silly. Yeah, it was. Jocelyn, did anyone else hear the IU Jerk fan on his podcast say our Lord and Savior Signetti? Yeah, you want to talk about idolatry. Holy smokes. Churned my stomach. Mine too. It was cringe. By the way, if you're a member over on Patreon, Chris does a podcast called What Drives Me Wilds, and he tore into those two idiots. Let's just call them what they. He tore into those two idiots. All right, let's wrap this show up by talking about the Big Ten or the conference championship games for the day, the overs and unders. We'll be making our bets. Shout out to MyBookie. If you go over to MyBookie right now, if you've never signed up for MyBookie, even if you have, go try to sign up again and use promo code OHIO, OHIO. You will be given a $500 bet back bonus. In other words, whatever bet you make, if you lose, they will give you $500 back to bet again. It's not $500 of free money to bet on. It's $500 of your money back to bet again. It's called a My Bet Back bonus. Plus, getting started right now over at MyBookie is their 12 days of Christmas. So they have different prizes, maybe double bonus bets, things like that, going on all month long over at MyBookie. They are the suggested bookie of the OHIO podcast. Why? Because they're our bookie. It's MyBookie. All right, here we go, guys. I'm going to be doing a 4-game parlay today. A 4-game parlay today. You all are going to help me with my 4-game parlay in the big games this week. So here we go. Starting first at 12 noon. We are not betting on this one. Stay away from this one. Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan in the MAC. Western Michigan is getting, they're at minus 1.5 points. The over-under on this game is 43.5. If I was going to bet on this game, I would probably take Western Michigan, and I would probably take the under. Money line is at negative 125 for the Broncos, 105 for the Hawks. Over, let's just skip those games. No one cares about them. All right, now the Big Four. Let's get to the Big Four. Actually, is it 4 or 5? Yeah, Big Four. In the Big 12, BYU, Texas Tech. We talked about it earlier. What could absolutely cause there to be crazy chaos in college football in the CFP? 1, Duke wins. 2, BYU wins. BYU wins, they're in. Duke wins, they're not in, but BYU will be in. They only have 1 loss on the season. They're 11-1. If they avenge their loss from earlier in the season at Texas Tech, both teams get in. The Big 12 will get 2 teams in. It's going to possibly kick Notre Dame out. Texas Tech is getting 12.5. The over-under is 49.5. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do the, let's see here. Let's do the Texas Tech at 12.5. We'll take that one. So there's that. Okay. Moving on. Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama Crimson Tide. This is a 4 o'clock. Oh, by the way, the BYU Texas Tech is a 12 o'clock kick at it's in AT&T Stadium, and it's on ABC at 12 noon. BYU Texas Tech. Moving on to the 4 p.m. kick between Georgia and Alabama from the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. This one is on ABC as well at 4 o'clock. Georgia versus Alabama. Georgia's getting 1.5. Give me Bama. Bama just doesn't lose to these guys in the SEC championship game. They just don't. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do Bama, and we'll take the points in Bama. ACC championship game, Duke versus Virginia, 8 p.m. Eastern kick, also on ABC. What we have in this one? Virginia is getting -4, so Virginia's getting 4 points here. Man, I tell you, Duke only lost by a couple against them. They lost by 5, I think, the first time they played. This one's in Charlottesville at the Bank of America Stadium. The over-under is 57.5. That feels like a lot of points. 57.5. We're going to go ahead and say, what do you all think? I'm torn on this one. What do you all think, chat? Virginia's getting 4. Virginia beat them the first time by 5. In Virginia, at Virginia. This one's in Charlottesville. What would Chris do? Chris would get the Notre Dame crying Irish out. Go BYU. That's what he would do. Unless I hear back from you guys all in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the points. Give me Duke. I don't think Duke, even if Virginia wins, I think it's really close game. So maybe a field goal. So I think I'm going to take Dookie in that one. And then the big one tonight, Ohio State versus Indiana. The Bucks are getting 4 points, so -4 for them as well. The over-under is 46.5. I feel like that's really low. I feel like this game is going to be well over 46.5. So give me 46.5 on that. And I'll take Ohio State on the -4. I'll go ahead and take the points. So a $10 parlay. Texas Tech to cover. Alabama on the under. Ohio State to cover. Duke on the under. And I'll take the over on the points in the Ohio State-Indiana game. A $10 bet will pay Eric $227. So let's go ahead and make that a larger bet, shall we? A $25 bet will pay me $567.72 on that one. There it is. I got a five play parlay there, ladies and gentlemen, to get $500. Let's see if that is the way to go. Chris is with me. He's like, take Duke on this one. He wants the chaos too. I know what Chris is thinking. Give me the chaos. Well, guys, I was filling in. Thank you, Coconut. I was filling in for Chris here, so that's what this was. I hope you all enjoyed to this morning's show. Patreon, 2 o'clock. I believe it's 2 o'clock. Over on Patreon, the first of 2 games. Yes, 2 p.m. Ohio State travels to Northwestern to take the Wildcats on in basketball. So we will be watching the game, calling the game over on Patreon at 2 o'clock. And then tonight at 7:45, Chris and I will be back on Patreon to call the game for Ohio State and Indiana in the Big Ten Championship game over on Patreon. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Please consider joining us over on Patreon if you haven't already. Make sure you watch the video that will drop here in a little bit about Ernest Hausman from Michigan and the crazy story that's surrounding that. A very interesting video. I think you all were going to like. Jocelyn, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Chris telling me to go 100. No, 25 was enough. $500. It's a good week, bro. I'll take $500 on a $25 bet. I'm good. I got to save some of that. Save some of that lunch money. Thank you for jumping on, TG. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the day. Check out that video later on. Join us over on Patreon. We appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen, Ohio with all your heart. Till next time, you all know what to do. OH! Go Bucks.